Мне кажется, вы меня обманываете. Играем в засылку.
Alright, so this run is gonna get pretty busted right
Как
away.
можно
Typically
играть
when
за
this game is
второстепенного героя? Это
played,
же какой-то
most
такая
players,
дискриминация.
as well as most marathons, use a rule set we call no major glitches, or NMG. And there's not too much unexpected that happens in those. The spirit
Но
of it is
опять
to
же, как
mostly
мы
play the
видим ранее,
game as it
японец
was intended to be
проходит на
played.
японском языке. Ладно.
Not so in this
На
run.
японском она, видимо, просто
We're
быстрее
just
в плане
gonna
диалогов.
do all sorts of crazy stuff, and the magic is gonna happen pretty much right away.
Ну, логично, логично.
Really. With glitch called
Это как
exploration
в свое время...
in the castle here.
Надеюсь, меня сейчас тут не закидают. Было с убийцей Камы, где главный герой был второстепенный персонаж.
Dungeon bosses as well as get all the pendants and crystals as we go along. But as we're going through the first dungeon here, the Castle Escape, let's get into what EG actually entails. So the
Но я думаю, здесь прям
underworld of
каких-то
this game
таких
is
сверхтипов
essentially
не
built
будет, так
like
всё-таки
a
все данжи.
cross-stitched quilt. And EG basically means we're able to more freely move between each individual section of this quilt by typically being on what's called the lower layer of each individual room. So you're first going to see Glenn go into the castle and head off to the right and go up the stairs and start doing what we call
Да и в
select
целом,
buffers.
наверное, на таких платформах
And
все
those
игры, они
buffers
же
are
очень
to
сильно
move in a very precise way so that we can
от
get
этого,
around
как
this
это
rail
называется,
and bypass what would normally be a ledge hop. And
каждый
because
фрейм
we're actually still on that
заучен.
upper layer, and we can hit another ledge lower down, and that ledge will actually bring us down below under the floor.
Я, по-моему, в
And
своей жизни всего одного Crash
from there
Bandicoot
will actually be
проходил.
what we call EG. It's just a form of out of bounds that happens to be essentially connected to everywhere else in the underworld.
Yeah,
It is
being
pretty
EG is like going from one layer to
Так, я
another.
так понимаю, пытаетесь текстуру протолкнуть.
Mostly walking underneath the floor.
Had a little difficulty there, but fine.
Yeah, but there we go. We get the ledge hop. Link disappears because he's underneath everything, and now he's actually
да, я
going to
так и
jump into
думал.
the void here. And that void jump is actually an incomplete jump. Link did not land on the ground, and so that jump just
Проходит
gets
через
stored,
текстуры,
and we're going to wind up
кидает
using
себя
that later
в пропасть.
to get back into EG.
Yeah,
But first, we need to go rescue the princess. Well, at least the green guard was cooperative.
Very good.
Вот, и единственное, наверное, мое знакомство в первой Зельде все-таки было это именно с тем скандалом.
Yeah, I would have died.
Right, because that would
Когда там челик выдавал себя за...
interrupt the jump from earlier and completed it, which we don't want quite yet.
Типа удивлялись еще люди, то что он... У него такое быстрое время, но при этом он так плохо играет. Это последнее, что было знакомо с Зельдой.
Yeah. I forget how low the health is sometimes in this area, but now we get to see what EG truly entails in terms of just walking around. Where you can kind of imagine Link being below.
Это очень похоже на DSCam в Dark Souls'ах.
And we're headed straight to the sanctuary. Now, one of the interesting things with the sanctuary is that there's a priest there that talks to
Вот так примерно проходятся все данжи.
only after this shelf moves out of the way. And we found out only a couple of years ago that that particular text box you get from the priest is not based on a position or anything. It's actually based on just a global timer that happens when you enter the room. So we actually enter at a very specific point so that we trigger that text box as late as possible so that we actually do get the cutscene to play right before we cause another transition going up.
Причем это очень сложно, то что не видишь просто своего персонажа, хотя камера просто на нем центрирована. Все равно заставляет такой, при, наверное, первых разах не видеть самого персонажа, за которого ты играешь, довольно сложно. Именно приспособиться.
And the Cane of Samaria is without a doubt the most broken item in the entire game.
Oh, it's so busted.
It is used in pretty much every single facet that not only the developers thought of, but many that they didn't think of.
I do like that you actually use it.
Так ты еще один бан хочешь? Мне кажется, тебе уже один дали.
We do? Where? I
In
forget.
swamp.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Не, ну довольно забавно выглядит ранс. Это то, что мы проходим все под полом.
That's not how it's intended to be used in that room, but it does work for us.
А вот он,
Yeah.
выполз.
But you did see that Glenn hopped out of the wall there. One of the limitations with EG is that we can only come out in certain ways, usually by hopping a ledge onto
Так,
a
взяли
lower
посох.
area of the floor that is actually inbounds. There are a few other
Надеюсь,
ways, but
они
we don't quite have
нашли
the
все это
equipment for
посох.
that yet. Up next, we're headed over to Eastern Palace, like you would in a normal run, but we have a few more tricks to speed this
Потому
all
что у
up.
меня есть сомнения просто из-за
One
того,
thing we
что
should get into is that
игра старая.
all of the collision in this game is built up of these 8x8 pixel tiles, and one of the consequences of that is that slopes are kind of in the middle of that,
Все,
and
человек насытился банами.
really easy to clip into just a little bit with proper movement, and if we clip in enough, we wind up causing a teleport. As you'll see Glenn go down, and then he
Опять
hops a
пытаемся
ledge,
себя
hops some more ledges,
протолкнуть.
and wraps the screen off the bottom to get up to the top and enter Eastern Palace.
Довольно
And
интересная
that particular
механика
clip, I
тем,
think,
то,
saves like 6 or
что
8 seconds.
It's
Next, we're
something
going to do what's called a
казалось бы,
door
анимация
tube.
была
So,
прыжка
when I
вниз.
said that the underworld was
Но так как
built
карта
as a
все-таки
quilt,
плоская и показана видом
there are
сверху,
doors that are on the
то, что мы
insides of each
оказались
of these
потом
units of the
сверху.
quilt, and we can
Интересно.
snap link over these transitions, then hit them from the other side, which winds up causing some interesting things to happen, such as we are now in a completely different part of the dungeon, and also Link is not able to interact with any sprites, but we can still interact with chests and pots and such, so we can get the big key of Eastern right away. Now, this transition somehow brings back some collision of sprites, even though we can't see them, so we're going to cause a little death warp. That death warp is actually important because it
Также
fixes our
проходим
camera
уровень
as
за
well as
уровнем.
the Link being synced with sprites,
И
and we're able to continue the dungeon normally, except now we have the big key much earlier than we
Раннер
would
умер.
normally, because there's this whole big loop around where you have
Наверное,
to
я
go
так
to the dark room,
понимаю,
get a couple
он
small
так
keys,
восстанавливает
another
хп.
kill room. We're just going to skip all that.
Yeah. And we're
Yeah,
gonna skip
next we're gonna-
more looping.
Yeah. Now we're going to skip another part of the loop by using the Cane of Samaria to act as sort of an interrupt for some of the
Причем,
collision.
ну, в моем мнении, опять же, могу ошибаться, то,
Not
что в
the
этой
collision,
игре
but
все
walking
равно
in, we're
рандома не так
bypassing the
много.
layer, just like we did in
И
Hyrule
вообще, я думаю,
Castle
то, что
to
он
get
отсутствует.
around, and we use the stairs to kind of swap Link's layer to go from the upper to the lower, and we're back in EG, and now we're going to hop back out
Сейчас
again,
было сложно
which,
тем, то, что
again, skips part
для
of the
моего
loop of the
восприятия,
dungeon.
как он интересно поднялся по лестнице
So
в
now we've got
стену,
the bow, and the only thing we have
и
left
при
is
этом прошел
Armos.
мне. Получает лук.
But during the Armos fight, there's one thing we want to do that's
Сейчас
going
ему
to
нужно
take
вернуться.
some manipulation of parts of Link's inventory. Now, Link's inventory creates some sprites, but they are treated very differently by the game, and so we call stuff from Link's inventory Ancilla. And there's a whole bunch of different variables that go on with that, and we're going to be manipulating some of those variables in order to cause various effects throughout the run. And the first one we're going to see is a fanfare skip for the pendant, hopefully.
Hopefully.
It is a little tricky to pull off. A lot of these sorts of glitches that involve ancillary
Кивер, это
memory
никто не полол.
manipulation are not trivial to pull off.
Проходит
No
пока уверенно.
rupees.
Dang, unlucky.
I know, you need so few for this run.
Mhm.
But here we go with the Armos fight. Glenn is actually going to shoot arrows in a particular way
Вот
so
как
that
раз
the
на
last Armos dies before it can turn red, because if
вот
it
этом
turns
месте,
red, it actually regains
в
all of its health.
Винни-персенте,
But now we're going to see a bunch of item usage that is
спалили
used
челика.
to mess up things in
На
so
том,
many
что
different
он
ways.
читер, причем
Okay.
Yeah,
раскрыли его тассеры.
we get the full fanfare. It was very close, though. I think you were just a
Я
little
когда
too quick
только-только
placing
начинал
the
заниматься
last block
педалем,
there.
такой,
Yeah,
«О,
too many sparkles.
что?
Maybe.
No mention of the
Как?
fight, though. It was a nice fight.
Yeah,
It
it
was.
went as planned.
It was a pretty normal-looking fight. We may see some
А там,
bosses
я
approach
надеюсь,
in,
я не
a
ошибся
bit
с
differently
моментом,
later.
потому что вот эти лунные рыцари, по-моему, их
Here
так
he gets the
называют,
boots, which are super important,
они
not
движутся
just,
по определенной
for a speed run, and we wanna dash
оси,
around
а там
and
дальше
make
будет
our
какой-то
movement
босс, или
quicker.
он в том же
But
данже
they
будет.
also open up a lot of glitching.
У него будут фаерболы, и
themselves.
типа они, как вот эти
A lot
лунные
of clip
рыцари,
applications use the boots. He's also gonna come
двигаются,
get
так и эти
bombs,
шары
which
должны
also do the
двигаться,
same
а у него
thing.
двигались наоборот.
They allow us to
Во.
clip and glitch in a variety
Надеюсь, я
of
ничего не
ways.
перепутал.
Now we're going to be going to
Это
Death
был далекий
Mountain, which, if
17-й
you
год.
know about the vanilla progression of this game,
Никак
game
забанили.
wants you to go to desert to get the gloves, which allow you to access Death Mountain by lifting a boulder. But
Ну
using
там,
the cliff
по-моему,
over here,
потом,
we'll be able to get into the entrance to Death Mountain without having any.
он, если
glove
не
upgrades.
изменяет мне... Ну вот.
We're doing another screen wrap again
Yeah.
to push Link off of the bottom of the screen and back to the top.
Grab the wall.
И выгнали из комьюнити
So, here
Zelda.
I've taken out the lamp,
Именно
you
так
might
все и
notice,
было.
and I'm gonna be using the lamp
О,
here to
догоняют
set
они
up
уже
some
почти
memory
2 миллиона
values for
собрали.
another,
Осталось
And
буквально
so-
$500.
glitch. The same thing that we did in Eastern to skip the pendant fanfare I'm gonna do in the next dungeon. But it's just gonna be
It's just
set up a
more
little
advantageous to
differently.
do it now.
Yeah.
It's more advantageous to do those lamps now while we're walking. We actually can't dash with the old man. I mean, we can, but it's not any faster at all. So it's
Собрали.
just
Ну, у них
better to
сейчас
do that
стоит,
menu now
по-моему,
and do the
цель
lamp
это
because you can't
2,5
lamp while dashing.
Hi,
He's an
I'm
old
so
man.
sorry.
для
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time.
Oh, so sorry to interrupt. I just want to throw in really quickly that we just hit 2
Ну,
million.
радуются тоже, что собрали $2 миллиона.
Oh,
great.
yeah.
That's
So
great.
exciting.
Но
So
я их
sorry about
понимаю,
that.
It's a lot earlier in this
все-таки
run.
крупная
Very
сумма.
important to say. It was very important to say. Congratulations,
very
Chad.
important.
Keep it up.
Nice work,
Активируют
everyone.
механизмы,
That was
как
way
и так.
earlier than I thought it'd be in this run.
I
Good
know.
job, guys.
Also, if you have a sec, we are currently at 80. We already almost at
Расписание
86,000 for the glitch exhibition. So keep those donations coming in. Let's hit some new records. This is
я первее
amazing. Thank you so
написал,
much,
да.
chat. Keep going. Also, let me know when you want some donations.
Ну, там осталось, по сути, вот сейчас Zelda,
Those donations for
Марио,
this exhibition coming, you will not regret
еще
it.
каких-то 3 игры.
So what Glenn just did there was he's clipping out of bounds in this lower section of Hera, which winds up going into
да,
EG
я
anyway. He actually
впервые
went over to a completely
показано.
different dungeon
Oops.
called Thieves Town.
Видимо,
where
в одну
you actually have
секунду
to
прям
open up
отправили.
this bombable floor in an attic to spawn some light to get the boss to actually reveal its true self. But we go ahead and do that in Hera because we can. For some reason, you can open that bomb floor from underneath.
Yeah.
But now we're using actually an intended
Бежит
pot
до
there,
финальной комнаты, бежит,
or,
чтобы
I guess,
взять с
hole
огромного
to fall
сундука.
down. It's supposed to be a secret to lead you to that fairy room, but we can reach it from the entrance by just clipping out of bounds.
А что за эти? Просветите меня тоже,
Everyone's favorite
пожалуйста.
boss.
А то я не понимаю.
Yeah, so this is Moldorm. Probably the most infamous boss of this game. Very erratic movement, and he knocks you back really far, sometimes off the edge, forces you to restart the fight.
Валят какого-то червя.
In certain speedrun categories, it's nice
Причем
to
на
have
самом деле даже для такой
yeah,
игры
better weapon.
I messed this up
имхо
again.
вот этот
Yeah.
червяк
Yeah,
какой-то
the block was just too far
стрёмный.
to the other side. That's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
because I picked it up by accident.
Yeah. Yeah, some Mario blocks are really finicky. If they are off
Проходит
screen
третий
at
данж.
all, they just disappear. And we needed a glitchy one to be there for what we were
Да, у
trying to
них
do.
стоит цель до Ocarina of
I
Time
was gonna go in this
на
cave
Ocarina
into a
of Time.
bomb cliff.
2,5 миллиона.
We mentioned bombs being pretty important. If you dash into a slope and have an explosion hit you,
Ну, он выглядит
at the
даже
same time,
страшно.
you can get
Я
clipped
не
through
знаю,
the
может, я
wall.
такой... Как это
It's kind of
называется?
specific positioning, but
Проталкивает
it's
себя опять.
not like
Через
pixel
текстуру.
perfect or anything.
Yeah, I think
С
there's a
помощью
3
бомбы.
by 3 pixel window for the bomb to be, and then the dash is pretty lenient as far as just kind of dashing into the explosion. But here, Glenn just used something called an EG
Для
kick,
этой
where
игры вот
there are some
черная,
rooms in this
как,
game
наверное,
that if you're
в
on
той
the
же
lower
старых
layer, you'll
Принцев
actually kick you to the
Персии,
upper layer, and we just happened to
где
run
там
into
по
one of
лабиринту
those
какому-то
and
бегаешь.
use that kick
Черное это все
of Link
провал.
being stuck in a wall in the game, trying to
Link
push
не
him
так
out of
прост,
it
он может
to
по
hit a
темноте
transition and be
ходить.
in another part while out of EG, which lets us get to the hammer here. And the reason we were actually able to open that big chest is because the game currently thinks we're in a cave. And there are certain big keys that the game can check against when you're in a cave to open up various
Мне
large
кажется, это
locks.
какой-то
And also, in addition to that,
какой-то буллинг
your key value
в
gets set
сторону
to
Линка.
-1 when you enter a cave. And all that key doors care about when they open is whether or not it's
Поднимать
0.
бомбы.
Since it's not 0, the key door opens, decreases our counter by 1, and we continue. So we're able to open up as many keys as we want.
Could probably fit in a donation here.
Sure thing. We have a $75 donation from Phileon who says, A Link to the Past isn't just my favorite Zelda game.
Да,
It's
это
the
Линк.
game that got me started
Но,
in
по-моему, во
speedrunning
всех
and tending
играх
geeks
Зельды
in
главным
person. Miss
героем, за
everyone.
которого
Me
ты
too, I
играешь,
miss
это
you guys so
Линк.
much. Much love to
Я
Glenn,
надеюсь, я не
Bobs
ошибаюсь.
everywhere, and everyone who's contributed to the tech of this run. Donation goes toward Glitch Exhibition.
Thanks,
All right, so
Fireman.
now we're starting something called
Mhm.
statue drag, where we
Они прям
mirror while facing a statue.
потом
Now the game thinks
вообще
that there's this
огромную часть
invisible
сливают,
statue in front of us, and we're
приличную
going to
сумму.
use that plus a whole lot of transition magic to bring Link one quilt square down, which
Мне
happens to be right
кажется,
where
в
the
той же
boss of the
России,
Palace of
когда
Darkness
человек
happens to be.
донатит
And we actually have to exit and
$5000,
re-enter for two
помню,
reasons.
здесь
One,
такой,
to
вау,
respawn
что?
all the sprites, which includes the bosses, and two, to actually get the proper dungeon ID. Now, every dungeon has an ID associated with it, and the prize that you get
Ну,
from
очень
that
такой,
dungeon
как бы это
is
сказать,
determined by the ID you have.
не
So in
получается.
order to get the crystal for the Palace of Darkness,
Получилось с
we have
второго
to have
раза
the
у
dungeon
Раннера.
ID for Palace of Darkness.
Это пробуждение
It's
линков,
pretty
которое...
tough to do on this amount of health, so
Воу, вот это босс.
no problem for Glenn though. It was great.
Nice fight.
Yeah. Almasaur can be really generous or really, really rude, depending on how many fireballs he spits.
And luckily, we can despawn one of them if the fireballs are on screen
Интересно.
and Gland destroys the mask, but that's the only reprieve you can really get.
Yeah. We could get another
Прошли
donation during
очередную.
the cutscene.
Очередной
Sorry, checks.
данж. А сколько всего
Oh, yeah.
данжей в этой игре?
If you're using the hammer only, you're kind of counting to 17, sort of, and then you have a chance to watch the mask, the fireball.
All right, donation time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. We have a $5 donation from Apathy Duck, who says all dungeons is a pretty tough run. I've only been able to
Чат,
complete
забить.
a
Сколько
some
вообще в этой игре
dungeons.
данжей?
Some dungeons run. Got it. It was capitalized. I was like, what? Some dungeons run. Good luck, Glenn, Tex, Taj, and Josh.
Мне кажется, это
Thanks,
было бы
Doc.
смешно, если бы она так называлась.
Is that donation riddled with spelling errors? by any
Ну, я
chance?
так думаю.
Actually, no.
Oh wow,
The S and some was capitalized.
that's
Threw me off,
impressive.
but that was it.
All right, so up next we have something we call Death Hole, which is just
Ну ладно, во
causing
всех Марио,
a
если
death
подумать,
while
вот,
the-
допустим,
while a hole would transport us to another part of the dungeon
в
at the
Марио
exact same time. And this causes something called a sub-mode
на
manipulation,
NES,
which actually
именно
causes
которая
a fairy revive, but it also changes where
самый,
the game
наверное,
thinks
вот
Link is.
из таких
Every
классик.
single room in this game has something called a room ID, and by causing
Это
that
что, это
death hole there,
вор?
we actually got
Что?
the room ID of where we were going to fall to,
Вау.
and then where you transition from there is based off of the room ID.
И
So
не
we wind
считать
up
вот эти
going
трубы
into
с
that
переходами
cave
на
that we saw
уровень,
earlier where we
то
bomb flipped.
с каждым
But,
уровнем
we're able to
мы
get
просто
into EG
дико
from that,
кошмарим
and we're able to just pop out of
дракона.
EG here, and we're right by Thieves Town.
Ну, в очередной раз там на уровне 7 приходишь, он такой, ну
We
что,
saw the
опять?
dungeon turn green as well because for some reason it borrows from the last dungeon where we died, which was Eastern Palace.
Yeah, and that's actually a new development, something that Glenn found
Номерных
out.
тут
Otherwise,
8.
that screen would have been
14,
completely
если
black.
считать замок.
Yeah. It's a side effect of the fairy revive.
Yeah, there's something with certain aspects of the Fairy Revive where
Да-да-да,
certain palettes,
опять,
but if you haven't
вау.
died yet in the run, then there's
Как
no
его,
palette
я
actually
забыл-то уж,
loaded
как
there, so everything
звали
becomes black.
этого дракона?
So this dungeon we get to do a little bit differently because if you remember in Hero we went
Боуз,
and
по-моему, или Боузер?
blew open
Так.
the hole that's on the second floor that lets light into Blind's room.
Рафаэль.
That saves a lot of time because he can steal a key.
Ну ладно, с ним уже
up
еще мем
here
был.
and eliminate
Боузер.
a lot of backtracking and
Не,
extra
его, по-моему,
rooms
просто
and
Боуз
stuff.
звали.
Normally
Боузер
you'd
это
have to use that key
уже
to go
с этим,
upstairs to open
на
the
мем,
hole.
как
We
мем
don't have
пошел.
to. So when we go down to the basement, we can go straight to the midst before getting the key beside Blind. Just saves a little bit of movement down here as
Просто
well.
восклицательный знак R.
Fortunately, the devs put two ways out of this room into the game. I'm not really sure why they chose to do it, but it's really beneficial for glitch runs that they did because you need gloves to lift that big block.
I
in the middle
think
of the
like
room.
they intended
Когда
that you
последний
needed
раз
the midst
кушал?
to lift the big block, and then it got changed or something.
С утра. Ладно, идем.
That would make sense, yeah. Some more glitching coming up.
Я не могу сказать,
Yeah, right
это
after
надо
we grab the
смотреть.
maiden here, we're going to be using the Cane of Samaria and some doorways. We
Пока
did use that a little bit
проходим,
earlier,
спасаем
but this is a
очередного
completely different way.
человечка.
We're actually going to be causing the transition with the block being in our way, and that causes some various effects. And it's really complicated as to how some of this stuff works. But just know that this one that he's doing in this northern door actually
Да,
modifies
Боузер.
the room ID
Всё-таки
again.
Боузер.
So the transitions we get again.
Комментатор
Oh, that's not good.
ел.
That's a
Так это
really
было
bad
почти
mistake.
сутки назад.
Yeah,
Когда
now we
я-
gotta make our way down
часов
to the basement
12
again.
дня того.
Another trip through Hellway.
Great.
Спасаем очередную тяночку.
Yeah, it's one of the worst mistakes you can make in this run.
Glenn used the opportunity to get 5 more rupees. However, we'll need these 10 rupees.
Летом,
Yeah.
по-моему,
Yeah.
должен быть ГДК
We
летний.
need every single one of them.
And only that
Вроде
many.
бы.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that yet. But yeah, we only need 10 rupees for this
А я не
entire
понимаю,
run.
почему его не дамажат вот эти огненные шарики.
Yeah, these glitches are gonna let him, that he's trying to do in the basement, are gonna let him get the hook shot and the moon
Ну да,
pearl.
если там, по-моему, без рестримов.
Both are very important items. The moon pearl, you can actually beat all the dungeons without ever having it, but it's just way slower to approach the game that way. The reason we didn't get it while we were in Tower of Hera is getting the big key in Tower of Hera is quite slow. There's like an auto-scroller type room you have to get through.
Секира уже была, да, предыдущая.
Ugh.
Час назад закончилась.
Not used to
Тебя
like
себя
doing
пытаемся
this
куда-то
after coming
протолкнуть.
back.
Вроде бы
Yeah, a lot of
успешно.
these glitches are not as trivial as he's making them seem.
Alright, there we go. But now, this transition will bring me into Swamp Palace, to the big chest room.
Раннер Зельда.
And
Есть
again,
такие?
we can still
Расскажите,
fix her in
что тут?
Thieves' Town,
Я
so that
не
big
понял,
key we
что
got at
вообще
the entrance
произошло.
to the dungeon will still work for all the big chests that we come
Я понял, что он
across,
себя
which
окликнул
is why we're
к
able to
началу,
open
где
up
он
so many
спасал
things
девушку.
now. Because of the stuff we did with the Cane of Samaria, a lot of our transitions here are broken, and we're using them in a very specific way.
А потом
to be
еще раз
able
себя
to
кликнул, чтобы
go
появиться
through
с другой
these
стороны.
rooms and get to other areas that
Странно
you
все
normally
работает.
wouldn't be able to do like this.
We can use that hook shot right away to grapple the big
Всё-таки
chest
для
of Tower of Hera
умов.
and finally get that moon pearl.
Стратегия? Это я
So
не
all that's left is
скажу.
the boss fight.
It's a scripted
Потому
fight.
что
We reveal the
не
maiden.
все видел.
We reveal the maiden's true nature of being a scripted fight.
Yeah, I
Warcraft
don't know
был?
why I didn't just walk out with the maiden. I mean, I already rescued her. Don't really need to do anything else, right?
Ну, мне кажется, какой-нибудь глич,
Well,
типа
she says
клипы
she
через
doesn't like
стену
the bright
VRL
light.
будет выглядеть очень странно.
Here's some.
Yeah.
А что, это было бы идеально-то? Чайные пакетики
That's why she
с помощью
doesn't like it. She's
сейфлоудов
actually a
дюпать
horrible monster in disguise.
VRL.
Alright. Blind is
Какого-то
very
огненного
hectic
кота.
fight
Ну,
when you play casually, but it's not actually random at all.
уничтожили.
So for
Извели
speedrun,
до
it's
атомов.
really simple to just do the same way every time.
Ну
now
или
we have some
что-нибудь
time
там,
for
не знаю,
some
пельмени,
donations.
например, также дюпать с помощью сейфлоуда.
Alrighty, well, we have plenty coming in right now.
Это же вау.
We are now at, let's see,
Дюп денег
$2,010,000.
какой-нибудь.
Amazing.
Мне кажется, если бы
In
с
terms
помощью
of the
сейфлоуда
glitch
можно было что-то
exhibition,
дюпать,
we are at
деньги были бы не так важны.
96,933, which is actually a great number. But that is out of the 222,000. So we are getting close to the halfway point for that. Keep getting those donations in. This is the last night to do it. I believe in you all. We have a $20 donation from Z64 saying, time for all
Тем
dungeons
временем
with all the
прошли уже
glitches.
пятый
Good luck,
данж.
Glenn. Thanks for all the help
Или
you
шестой,
give back
я
to the community.
запутался. Пока
Thank
тут с вами
you.
заговорился.
There's a $50 donation from Jeff MCG. All right. What is Link's favorite kind of music?
Ну смотри,
I have
если
no idea.
взять, например,
Octorock.
стоимость одного чайного пакетика, грубо говоря, 2 рубля, а задюпать ты можешь 1 рубль.
So funny.
Если задюпать чайные пакетики и продать,
Everyone
то
more.
получится, там, допустим, 100 тысяч раз,
yeah,
получится
actually,
200
I think-
тысяч раз, чем 1
yeah.
рубль 100
Okay,
тысяч
great.
раз.
Awesome. I can
Eh?
go for as long as you need. we have a $50 donation from Hero Rush, who says, excited to see Glan's link to the past major glitches run. Oh, what's the glitches exhibition? Can't think of a better group of people to showcase this category. Shout outs to Josh, Tex, and Tajso on the E-Couch.
Zero rush.
Thank you.
All right, so there go our 10 rupees, and we traded them in for a much better sword. We do have to cause a screen transition here to, simulate
Ну да,
time passing.
надо
for the
то,
Smiths
что
to
будет
actually work on
продаваться.
it. But the tempered sword is extremely useful. Getting the gold sword is a bit slow, but this one is pretty fast and is a significant power upgrade.
Yeah. Curiously, we went from the first sword to the third sword. You don't actually have to get the second one. Not sure why they made it like that, but...
Да, тогда можно же сделать гениальный
I
юпать
don't
не
think
1
we
рубль, а
talked
1
about
евро.
Item dashing, by the way. We saw
Голова.
Glan use the hook shot and dash on the same frame, which allowed him to travel at very high speeds diagonally and all around the screen.
Yeah, that's
And we
a...
also picked up a bottle in the back of the tavern, and that bottle is going to be very important later.
I almost ran into that spear. That would have been bad.
Yeah, you do need
Больше
beams
модеров
for
в
this.
чат.
So now we're getting to something completely new with ancilla manipulation, something we call a hook push, which is essentially putting a Samaria block
Так,
where it
сейчас мы
shouldn't be.
в темном
Normally
мире.
in the game there are 5 slots available for stuff that Link uses in his inventory, but there are actually 10 slots for those types
На самом
of
деле
objects.
осталось не так
The other
много.
5 slots are typically
Сколько
used
там?
for things
4
like sword sparkles,
данжа я
or
посмотрел.
sparkles around other items and all that. But through clever manipulation of the memory, we can actually place a Samaria block in one of those later slots. Now, a Samaria block is never supposed to go up there, and so it's
Всем
able to hit
словили
other bits of
софтблок.
memory that are
Ну,
normally
мне
unavailable.
кажется,
And because of that, we can actually
тогда бы лучше не
modify
ловить
properties of
софтблок. Я бы
other
желал out of
ancilla that we use, in
bounds.
which case, for a hook push would be the hook shot. And we're actually going to use that to go directly into EG once we get the fire rod here.
Или, например, реальные гличи какие-нибудь существовали в РЛ, было бы забавно.
Incidentally, we had to do a bomb jump in the middle of that just so we could get that fire rod.
То, что ты
Yeah,
дискавом
I
спамишь
thought I was gonna fail the
двери и
bomb
просто
jump,
такого,
honestly.
зашел там в магазин.
Yeah, you were. I was worried myself. It's like, oh no, please work.
So that room that we kicked out of EG earlier to get to the magic hammer is the same one that we're fighting Moth in now.
Сейчас
It's
мы
mainly
побеждаем
because of
какую-то
that,
бабочку.
full room
Она больше похожа на
conveyor
муху
is
вообще.
why it kicks you out of EG. But because of all that, we get to complete Skull Woods while skipping a ton of the rooms. And that hook push setup that he did earlier is not trivial to perform at all. And it's impressive that he's able to do it so consistently.
Видели мы ее, прошли еще один
And
дэнж.
really nice movement with the hook shot while you're already in the fight.
И ни в
just
коем
to get it
случае не
started.
мастер.
Yeah. Mothhill is a bit of a heck
Nice
of
double
a fight. Like,
Yeah. The boss isn't the moth. The boss is the room.
yeah, you want to keep it under control from the start. If you ever lose control, it's really hard to get back.
Так это бабочка-муха?
And probably
I
fit
think
in
we
a
have time for
donation,
1 or
yeah.
2. Yeah.
Ничего себе.
Awesome. We have a $15 donation from The Frogs, who says, hi, Glan. It's your friends from the pond. Someone told us you were good at Zelda, but we weren't expecting you to break the game. This run is absolutely
Но мне кажется,
ridiculous.
это не очень
Hopefully,
хорошие
we
гличи,
make it to a
которые в
million
голове.
marks soon. Well, we did. Also,
Ладно, продвигаемся мы
oh.
к следующему данжу.
Would you like one more?
I like frogs, by the way.
Amazing.
Yeah, you can do one more.
Yeah, we can fit
do
one more.
Yeah.
Awesome. We have a $50
Очень
donation from
мне нравится
Leon,
механика вот
who
этого
says, "May Moai
спринта
bless
у
this
Линка.
run and this great runner. Glan, we love
Не знаю,
you."
завораживает меня.
Oh,
Пытаемся
that's
опять
not
тебя
good. Okay, you can probably do a
протолкнуть.
couple more donations.
Пытается. Успешно.
You did that on
Или
purpose just so I
неуспешно.
could read donations, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Totally. Oh, just as a quick update, we are now at
Не получилось его себя
over
протолкнуть.
$97,000 toward that glitch exhibition. So we need another about 123,000, 125,000, and we can definitely
Так это
get
есть
there. We're almost halfway. Let's
в РЛ
go.
же
Let's
патчи
make it
всякие для
happen.
того, чтобы брать
Yeah,
психологические
it's gonna be
гличи.
a real good show. You guys really want to see that. There's a bunch of
Absolutely.
stuff that we don't really get to see in speedruns that are just bonkers, even beyond what this run does.
We have a $25 donation from Steven_IRL, who says frogs are
Так,
love.
подходим к
Frogs are
следующему.
life. Glenn is good.
Заходим.
Good luck, gamer.
И это у нас...
Thank you. Thank you for all the frog-related donations, by the way. Really appreciate it.
Alright, so this dungeon is desert. Normally the boss of this dungeon is Lanmola's, but we found a more efficient way of going through all of the dungeons where we actually fight Lanmola's later on, but we still need to get that dungeon prize of the blue pendant from here. So we needed to find another boss to get to, and there's happens to be one, I guess you could call it nearby. It's nearby on the
Интересно, эта игра есть на русском? Я бы ее даже прошел, не знаю, мне интересно стало. Потому что вообще ее довольно интересно ломают.
And actually, there's a bit of a photo sensitivity warning we want to put up because the graphics are going to get completely corrupted in about a minute.
Yeah.
Все Zelda есть на русском.
Nice, Mario.
Отлично.
На
японском я не выдержал. Официальный первый батла. Понял. Да мне текста достаточно.
Here's the only normal use of Cane of Samaria. Hope you enjoy it.
Есть переведен ром для эмулятора.
And now we're going to do something called a mirror door, which is, again, like the death hole from Palace of Darkness, a sub-mode manipulation. Now, normally with these things, what's basically happening is we're trying to do two things at the same time, and instead of the game choosing one or the other, it adds them together and interprets the result as best it can.
Oh yeah, graphics
in the case of...
way.
Yeah, it's coming in just a couple of seconds. But in this case, the manipulation that we wind up getting is actually tied to the same timer that the game uses to open up the door to the Triforce room from the Ganon fight.
Происходит.
And so we actually have to wait for that to count down before the transition happens, which is why the game kind of froze there.
Oh, this is Argus.
Yeah.
Yeah, in case you couldn't tell.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I couldn't hear him fly up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
Это начались какие-то 80-е или какие там 70-е, где квадрат с
I'm
кружком
trying to do
дрался.
another pendant fanfare skip here. Hopefully I actually get this one. Okay, I did get it.
Yep.
Nice.
All right,
Он так
now.
The only one that you can't
Что?
actually see.
Я вообще подумал, что у меня видяха накрылась.
All right, so real quick, Gland is going to mirror there. We get to fix the sprites graphics, but nothing else, and that's only so that you guys can see what's going on with this hook push here.
Случилось
There's a lot
это.
of memory manipulation through all the items that he's using, and that's actually going to let him use the hook shot, and instead of going through the floor, he's going to sail across the wall to the
Мне
right.
кажется, просто
really
у которых там
cheery.
сложно, допустим, из-за
Yeah.
длинных волос
It's
или там
gonna look even worse.
определенных,
But
из определенных
so
там
the room that
черты
we
лица,
actually been into
например,
is
так
once again
описывают.
Mothula's room. It just happens to be right there, right next to the entrance of Swamp Palace. By the way, we were actually at the entrance of Swamp Palace and not desert. We'll get into that later. We
Ребята,
have time for a
это
few more donations.
не у меня одного, да, такое?
Can help you out there. This is amazing to watch, by the way. Oh my gosh, I'm just keeping track of it. Okay, we are also, oh my gosh, I'm just looking at all of the totals going back and forth. Oh my gosh, we're about to hit 100,000 for that. Let's keep it up. Oh my gosh,
Ладно,
keep it up.
человек меня
We have
успокоил.
let me see, $5 donation from Udai, who
Что
says,
это норма?
Glenn has a lot of dungeons to visit and revisit and break. Let's send him a blue rupee train to help. Believe me, you'll want to see that glitch exhibition.
Ой, у меня тут мракобесие на экране, я не
Oh,
понимаю
you
вообще,
will?
что происходит.
We also have a $25 donation from Woki saying, best of luck to Glenn on a super cool Link to the Past run. Don't forget to save the frog blacksmith along the way. They look like they might need a hopping hand.
То есть это там с приставку.
The graphics
So glad-
are fixed now, so you can look away or look back at the game if it was bothering you.
Yeah, the only way to fix that graphical corruption is actually a console reset. Even if you just save and quit the game, it's not enough.
He's going to be doing a glitch called a fast.
Опять проталкиваем себя. Вот то, что я и запомнил. Толкаем и прямо в воду.
It stands for funny auto swim thing, which is actually a play on words of another glitch that we knew about
Если
earlier
закрыть глаза, то
called a
можно
funny
увидеть
auto walk
Линка.
thing. You may have seen Link just kind of slide down the screen while
Я понял,
in
это вот
one
как с
frame of swimming
картинками,
animation.
которые там
That is what was
нужно
the, funny auto
немного
walk thing. It's just we
скосить
had to
глаза, и ты
fake
увидишь
swimming while
картинку.
doing it, so it's funny auto swim.
Here we got a bomb clip he's going to do to skip a lot of the rooms.
Или как это там
at the
по-другому
front
называется.
end of this dungeon. And then he's going to take the bottom exit of this room and go to a glitch that was discovered this year.
Well,
Where he's
last year.
Well, yeah, last year, I guess. Yeah. Not used to 2021 yet.
It's called Icebreaker, and basically the theory behind it is we use the Cane of Samaria to interrupt movement so that we trick the game into thinking we're still in a door so that we can press up and down to be able to
Наколдовал он
go
себе
through
какой-то
the
шарик.
rail there. That's the short of it.
Yeah. That also skips ahead a lot of rooms.
Yeah. Ice Palace is a dungeon.
Понимаю,
skip
сейчас
a lot
перебрался,
of.
переберется через шипы с помощью
Yeah,
дамага
even
буста.
in the
Да,
No Major
я понял.
Glitches speedrun, there's a bomb jump that lets us cross a pit and is able to skip a couple of loops through the dungeon and make it one of the faster ones.
Yeah, it's weird because
We're
it's
coming up to Cold Stair.
yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go,
yeah,
Jax, go.
We're coming up to Cold Stair, one of the most dangerous bosses in the game. So Glenn will have to defeat it without getting hit.
Yeah, it's probably the
Возможно,
scariest boss of the
возможно.
run. Contact with Cold Stare does 4 hearts of damage, and with optimal movement,
Нет,
you
я
have 4 hearts coming into the boss.
только какую-то одну проходил
That's
на
pretty fun.
давно.
Good luck.
Какой-то приставки Зельду. Ну вообще, она для 91 года очень
Nice, nice.
даже шикарно
Alrighty.
выглядит.
We have time for a few more donations.
Okie dokie. We have a $50 donation from Green Ham saying, praise Moyai for blessing us with a trio of iconic duos today. GDQ and PCF, Glan and Frogs, and of course, Glan and Major Glitches. Stoked to see this category and Glan representing the A Link to the Past community. Good luck on the run.
Thanks, Greenham. One of the
Прошло
of our
37
community.
минут, а я до сих пор ничего не
Greenham's
понял.
amazing. Big
Что
shout out to Greenham.
за ним держится VR? Интересно, побьет он сегодня свой рекорд или нет?
Sure.
Потому что
Alright,
осталось
we
на
have a
самом деле все.
$100
Хотя он
donation from
уже,
Nerf, who
по-моему,
says,
даже
"Have
где-то
been
ошибся.
loving GDQ
В начале
all
там, где он
week,
не
and
смог
now
себя
we need to
протолкнуть.
get that Zelda glitch exhibition
Ему
and
пришлось заново
Ocarina of
бежать.
Time run." Agreed. We need to see both of those happen.
Я думаю, это диван.
What are we at? Oh, wait.
Да нет,
how
это
did
кровать.
we just went from 99 to 141,000. So we are less
Oh,
than 100,000 away now. I know. Holy moly. I need
Ну
to
так
check and see if I
почему бы не
can-
получить
I
последнюю
missed a
чиху?
huge donation.
Потренироваться?
Can I read that real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do my best to read quickly because this is a $40,000 donation from
Oh, wow.
Fan Gamer.
Whoa.
Oh my
Whoa.
goodness, Fan Gamer coming in once again. Thank you so much. It says, "Hi everyone, Fan Gamer here. We know you guys want to see that glitch exhibition for A Link to
Ну
the
да,
Past.
я тоже так
This
подумал,
donation
то,
should help
что
us get closer, but we
там же
still need
все
your help.
это же
Yes,
старые игры,
you
там же
watching
вообще
at
все
home right
время
now, send in those donations.
до
Every
единого
little bit helps.
посчитаны.
Hop on a $5, $10, or $20 donation
Да и по
train
Б
right now.
я думаю, он
Let's
уже
go.
точно не
We've
побьет
also
свою,
still
просто
got
из-за того,
plenty
что
of
он
awesome merch in
вот
our official
ошибся.
AGDQ 2021 collection, where 100% of the profits are turned into donations that support the Prevent Cancer Foundation. Check it out at fangamer.com/GDQ. Thanks, guys.
All right, so a few little things happened there during all that excitement. We
Sorry.
faked some more swimming, and we went to go fill our bottle with some magic refilling potion that is, again, very important. Now, you'll also notice that Link was able to run across the top of the water, and that's due to actually a moon pearl check that the game
Давай,
does
захватывай
whenever you
чаек.
exit from the
Я не
underworld to the overworld. And it just happened to resolve his state into the one where he's walking, and we don't hit another water trigger between there and where we want to go, so we're able to just dash around. We
Priest
also
is
did
taking a
another
nap.
screen wrap there. Oh yeah, Priest is sleepy. But we also did another screen wrap to go to the Ice Rod Cave and get that, because we do need that for the Trinix boss that we're going to get to real quick.
Yeah.
Doing some more transitional magic, this time on the overworld, to get to the castle
Можно без.
in a relatively quick way. And now we're going to get into what that green potion is for. We're going to do another sub-mode manipulation, and we specifically call this one an underworld fake flute. And basically the game is trying to interpret what is the best way to resolve when you use the flute while in the underworld, which winds up really breaking the game even further than, or about as far as EG does in general. Now, we never collected the flippers in this run, which means that when we hop into
Это
water, the
ныряем.
game tries to bring
Что здесь с текстурами?
Link back to land. And the flute also kind of moves Link far away from
Такое
where he
чувство,
was.
будто их
So
самураи
we
обрезали.
splash into the water. The game tries to put us back where we
Вот
were,
эти,
so that's why
которые
we're in this long scroll.
в,
And this long scroll is a signifier of us entering what we
наверное,
call
в мультфильмах, которые
Now, in
такие
Plaid World,
достают меч и резко его
Link obeys a
обратно.
completely different set of
Просто
collision
ударяя
compared to what all of the enemies
металлической
obey.
частью
And
обноженной.
because we were able to sync Link up using that splash, we now are able to interact with sprites in this area. And that'll let us beat a whole bunch of bosses really quickly. You want to talk about the history of Plaid World, Josh?
Yeah.
Я понял, это
Real quick, he's gonna be
Atari,
fighting.
с этим все
Say hello
понятно.
to Viddy.
Тут так и должно быть. Проходим к боссу.
Yeah, it used to when Plaid World was originally found, we
Благо это не
didn't know
вот с
how
того
to
момента, когда это случилось
get the
первый раз и
sprites
по
spawned properly.
концовку, а вот
so we would
просто
actually
промежуток такой.
run around and open up all the big key doors. And that
Групповые
would be
игры.
what saved us time with using this state of the game. But what that
Это,
long
кстати, еще
scroll
напоминает
accomplishes, it allows us
те,
to
кто
do, like,
проходил
a little bit of a mini boss rush
первого
on this,
Соника на Сеге.
where he's just, he just beat Viddy, and now he's running.
Такие уровни были в бонусных
Is in this
комнатах,
room.
где изумруды
Yeah,
хаоса.
and his legs are
Они
out of the
точно
room.
такие по цветовой гамме. Но при этом там
This
может...
is a pretty technical fight,
Нет
too.
нигде не предупреждение, что это может вызвать
Yeah, he's
эпилепсию,
actually
потому что там
trying to
постоянно
use,
вот эти цвета все меняются,
dashes
как-то
and pokes in a very
бликуют,
particular way to
вспыхает,
save
то
on magic.
нет, ну,
That way he
все
doesn't
в
have
таком
to
духе.
refill anymore while he's in this particular boss rush, because we don't get any refills unless we collect a pendant or crystal, or I guess the
Побеждаем
agate
Мию.
would be one of them.
I missed a hit on him, I guess.
Now, one of the weird things about Plaid World is while a lot of the collision is different for Link, one thing he can still use are all these staircases that move you from room to room in the dungeon. And so we actually use that to kind of teleport
Я
around this
говорил,
quilt
что Зельда к добра
to
не
get to certain areas much more
приведет.
quickly. And there's actually going to be one that's
Групповой трип.
sort of infamous for these Plaid World segments where there's essentially a bunch of graphical junk right in the way and you can't see Link at all, but he still has to get to a staircase that has a relatively small, I guess you could call it hitbox.
Не, ну такие уровни не очень странно выглядят. И правда очень тяжело
No,
глазам.
missed it.
Got it.
Yeah.
I also
It's
got
it's
Ether
really
there, by
hard
the
to
way.
get that. Yeah. And part of the collision that we're running into now is there's different parts of collision for where you are in the overall quilt. And as of right now, there is a solid wall right underneath where Link is. And in order to actually count a boss
И
as being
банально
dead, we
просто
have to
неизвестно,
collect the
когда
hearts.
вернется
So
нормальная
Glenn has to be
текстура,
very
а не
careful
вот
here
это.
to kill Landmolus high enough that he can still collect that
I don't
heart.
know what's happening.
Я бы, наверное, на этом
Bad things are happening.
типа дропнул бы игру, потому что они вот странные.
Right, 2 of them down, just 1 more.
I missed like everything.
It's
Не
alright,
знаю,
we
можно
still get the heart
посмотреть
and we're able to
сейчас.
go out.
Глянем.
Now you'll see Ether dropping down. Ether that we did collect earlier after Trinex is actually considered a dungeon prize drop for Hyrule Castle for some reason.
It's complicated.
Most other dungeons either have a specific drop or no drop, and I guess it was forgotten to get rid of that one for Hyrule Castle. So we are able to collect it here and skip having to go for the book, as well as going back up to Death Mountain to use it on the tablet up there to get the medallion proper. But now we're in this Aghanim fight, and you may think, well, why doesn't he move closer to reflect the shots? The thing is, we can't. We're actually in a column that we can't move out of. We can only move up and down here to be able to fight Aghanim.
Да.
Which actually makes the fight a lot slower. Usually there's a 50% chance on a lot of his attacks to spawn what we call blue balls, which you can't damage him
На
from.
3DS
And
была,
in addition to
не
that,
знаю, не смогу
with all
сказать.
these warps and him flying all the way to the other side of the screen, we have to wait for the
С
shot to
этими
travel
Зельдами
there and
такое.
back. So this is
That was 0
Знакомство
balls.
косвенное.
Wow.
I wasn't keeping track.
Yeah, that was fast.
Ugh.
All yellow balls.
But now we're out of Plaid World, so we're done with that dungeon boss rush, but we still have to go and get those pendants and crystals from those dungeons in order to satisfy the rules of the
в
category.
3 местах ошибся, у него
Yeah, we
будет,
don't
наверное,
consider a dungeon
расхождение от
complete
его
unless the boss has been
эрен там
defeated and
минуты
the
2.
prize from the dungeon has been
Ну,
collected.
я так думаю.
So we have to go back and
This is
grab it.
Это было не
it's
бесплатно.
also one of the final segments of the run, so if you want to see the glitch exhibition, be sure to get all your donations in now.
It's very important here on the overworld that Link doesn't get hit, because we want sword beams when we enter Misery Mire.
There's also a bit of a photosensitivity warning we want to give at some point during this overworld movement, because the graphics don't really load properly when we're in the Misery Mire area. And so there's going to be some lightning
Заходим,
flashes along
осталось
with
2
a bunch
данжа.
of glitchy graphics that can be hard on the eyes. Not quite as hard as some other stuff we've seen, but we just want to give that warning.
Yeah, it's coming out very, very soon.
Yeah, the Misery Mire is going to try to load the rain overlay, or the rain graphics here, but we don't make a normal transition into Misery Mire, because we don't usually approach it from the side.
2 или...
It's usually through a warp tile in the
2
light world.
осталось.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will end as soon as he enters the dungeon, where he'll do another hook push to
Ну да, я
get
бы
an
тоже
AG.
поспорил, что там, что они на полу не валяются.
All right, so we're going to be entering Misery Mire, but we're actually going to be hook pushing into EG and then traveling to the boss room of a completely different dungeon, and actually the one for Turtle Rock, where the boss is Trinex, who we defeated in Plaid World. And really, all a dungeon
Так,
cares
кликнем
about
себе через
for you
тему с
to
помощью
get the
цепи уже
prize
в
out of
этот
it,
раз.
the pendant or crystal, is whether or not
Как
you're
это
in a
работает, я
room
не
where
расскажу.
where there is a
Я
boss
не знаю
defeated,
сам.
a boss defeated in it, essentially where you collect the heart. Now,
Ну,
once you
опять всё
collect the pendant or crystal,
эти части
instead
проходим
of warping
под
you back to
полом.
the dungeon that you entered, it actually warps you back to the start of the dungeon where
Мы
you
получаем
picked up the
кристаллик.
pendant or crystal. So we entered Misery Mire, but we're collecting this from Turtle Rock. So we're going to be spat back out
Причем
in front of Turtle Rock
кристаллик,
rather than Misery Mire.
видимо, мы достали
It's
тоже
complicated.
там из босса или из сундука,
Could probably squeeze in a
который был
couple
под полом.
donations here, though.
Sure thing. We are now over 151,000 for that glitch exhibition. Come on, everyone. We can do it. We need about 70,000 more. This is the last night. This is your last chance. We also
Да,
have a really
понимаю.
awesome anonymous $50 donation that says, when my game looked like this, I found blowing on the cart and restarting usually fixed it.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the tip.
Well, it did work for part of this. It did work.
You want another donation real quick?
Sure.
How about an anonymous $1,000 donation saying, need to see those glitches.
We have a time for a few more because this is kind of more of the same of what we just did with Mario, but now for Turtle Rock.
Oh, sure. Okay. We have a $50 donation from Juice saying, let's get that glitch showcase.
Но мне кажется, какие-то изменения все-таки даже если делать лучше визуал,
We
последуют.
also have a $100 donation from Joan K saying, thanks to early detection methods, my dad's bowel cancer was caught quickly. He's now 5 years cancer-free, and I'm so grateful to all the research that made this
Так и
possible.
я вот о том же говорю, что
Donation
можно
to Link to the Past
людей
exhibition and
с
best
эпилепсией,
of luck
что
to Glenn.
нежелательно смотреть.
That's your dad. And a $50 donation from Autumn Garnet saying, watching Glenn run around like walls don't exist is just incredible. I can't wait to see how else you break the game. And of course, heck, cancer. Agreed.
You can do another donation.
Такая она уже
just one
была, по-моему,
Okay,
в середине.
Oh, I have to pick just one. Oh, no.
Там прям
Alright.
вообще
We have a
факт на артефакте.
$100 donation from RoboBo saying, I just remembered I have a Visa gift card burning a hole in my pocket.
О,
What
не.
better way to spend it than by donating toward the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past glitch exhibition?
Alrighty, so now that we're done with all the pendants and crystals in the game, we still have
Заходим
one
в
more boss
третий
fight to
раз
fight
в
before
этот
we
же
fight
данж.
Ganon, and that's the rematch with Aghanim. Now, to get there, we're actually going to do what we call a wrong warp, where we fall in a hole, but one that the developers surely didn't intend. And the way we're going to do that is by doing something we call a quadrant glitch, where we do a spin and it crosses across this invisible boundary within this room. that winds up messing
Триггерить
with how future
диалоги.
transitions are going to behave. And then we're also going to use the Samari again to change the room ID, which winds up causing these pits, which normally
Перевод
would
можно
damage
диалога?
you,
Я
to warp you to
не...
another room. And that room just happens to
А,
be the same one that the
Могу примерно
AGDQ
сказать
rematch is
так.
in.
Написаны
In addition to
японские
that, there's
иероглифы.
some transparency and fading effects that wind up
Хороший
giving
перевод.
Link and Aghanim this sort of rainbow palette.
Shout outs to Rainbow Link.
Я встречал такое,
Rainbow Link.
когда
One of the best sprites.
смотрел какие-то сабы с японского. Там было написано по-японски.
Yeah, we're really closing in on the end of the run, so if you want to get that glitched exhibition in, please get those donations in.
Yeah, just do more Aghanim cycles to stall. Not because I'm bad.
Nice fight.
I
Побеждаю
can't see where I am.
босса. Осталась мышь. Мышь улетела.
Yeah, we
Oh,
just recently
almost got it.
optimized this room to
Ну
make it a
там
bit
буква
easier to
встречается
clip
довольно
out of
редко.
that. There was an attempt at a cutscene skip there.
Yeah. The cutscene ends when Ganon's bat goes off screen. So by clipping out and moving over, you can make it go off screen
Что?
earlier. Saves a few
Мышь пробила.
seconds if you do it well.
Вот он, последний босс.
Now we've got the last fight. Ganon. This is done pretty normally if you're at all familiar with the NMG runs of this game. They'll all look pretty familiar.
Прессингуем его. Вот как раз с теми рыцарями
If you're not too
и
familiar with the game, you might
движение
wonder,
с этими огоньками как раз на этом
how he's
тогда
going
человека
to fight
и
Ganon without the
спалили,
silver
что он
arrows.
нечестно проходил игру.
But in the last
Он
phase, you can
пользовался
still damage
щитами.
him with sword spins if they're timed in a particular way.
Is
You'll
a
see that
one frame window.
Причем на самом деле это такая вещь, на которую сложно обратить внимание, ну типа прям увидеть. Это вот как раз только тастеры и увидели.
And there's one more important glitch coming up, torch glitch.
Yeah.
And it'll keep it so we don't have to keep relighting 2 torches, just 1.
You got it there. So we'll only have to relight the left one throughout the fight.
Ну я так понимаю, это опасный босс.
Bad warps.
Просто мне кажется, называть его свиньей это как-то не ясно. Будет похоже на буллинг. То, что последний босс свинья.
Done.
Yep.
There we go.
Какое-то неуважение, как-никак last босс. С первого раза проходит его.
Time is coming
Nice
up as soon
run.
as he goes through the door here.
Time.
Все, подходим за... Кому мы пришли?
Looks like you're gonna get a 52,
Хлопки, 52
20 something.
минуты 30 секунд, причем
Not too
ровно
bad considering
30 секунд.
stakes.
Ну, я так и думал
Each
примерно
time
то, что у
was
него расхождение
awesome.
будет где-то в 2-2,5 минуты.
52:30.
Хлопки
GG.
ранеру.
Thank you.
Показал скиллуху.
You did all the dungeons
we're
and you
real-
used all the glitches.
Yep, that was the goal.
Yeah, we're really happy to have gotten to show this game off again in a glitched setting.
Yeah.
It's been several years since the last one, and things have progressed so much, it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this would be unrecognizable to people back then.
Посмотрели замечательную Зельду, аж самому захотелось пройти ее. Но я, наверное, делать этого не буду. А то затянет, еще спидранить начну. Ее. А тут прям все по фреймам.
Do we have any word on the glitch exhibition incentive?
I'm still checking on that.
Захотелось пройти с такими же гличами. Нет, моя голова не выдержит с такими же гличами.
Very quick 58. Okay. So So it looks like we are going to be taking a break, and then we will have an interview, which might give us enough time to keep
Все
pushing for
намашут,
that
как будто
incentive.
благодаря
So
там за
keep getting those
прохождение
donations, and
игры.
remember that your donations
Спасибо.
also go toward unlocking the Ocarina of
Да,
Time
я
All Dungeons run.
просто
So
опять
not
провод
only can we
потыкал.
still have one more chance to see that glitch exhibition, but that will also help us with the Ocarina of Time run. So make sure to keep getting those donations in. You can do it. I believe in you. And great job.
А, нет, это я, скорее всего, задел просто по фильтру, он ударился об микрофон.